Um, Hey everybody, welcome to the latest installment of on Tyranny, the series that I've been doing with my website, the bad what is it called? The Bad Penny. I'm a music journalist of 27 years, and there's a series about how the authoritarianism that is gripping not just the United States, but now different areas of the world that we didn't expect it to rear its nasty head is affecting artists directly, impacting their artistic process and their personal lives as well. So I'm very, very pleased to welcome today Big Special, which is a fairly new band, but they've God, what's the expression? Burst out of the gates, running. Oh yeah, we got Joe and Callum here, and they are currently in Vienna at a.
Yes,
I take it.
yes, we are an Australian club in Austria, which is
Austria talking to an American
it's all very confusing, really.
about British authoritarianism.
What a combination.
I just saw, who I just saw last. I don't know if you guys know them. Oh no, no, Australian. Do you know Clam by chance? That band Clam?
No.
They participated in another interview. Anyway,
Good news.
uh, is this your first? Just to get things warmed up, is this your first time?
It's
Um,
our first time in Austria. We're this is our first like major headline tour of Europe. We've done last year and the year before that. We did a lot of festivals, a lot of spot dates where we sort of like flew in, did a couple of shows and flew back out again.
yeah.
But this is just under 5 weeks, going every inch of the continent. We were in Poland yesterday, in Warsaw, Austria today, Milan tomorrow, Zurich. We've done Germany. We've done the Netherlands. We're finishing in Spain, and
We do authoritarianism.
yeah,
Marching through the
we're
continent.
marching through borders like the authoritarian nightmare before us. You know?
Right.
But no, yeah, it's been amazing, man. It's been our first time ever in Austria, not just as gigging but as visiting as well. And
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful place. It's very beautiful city.
Wow, that's awesome. It can't be right that you guys just started last year as a band, right?
Well, last year we dropped our first album, but
Right.
we'd written that album over the space of 4 years previous to that. We started writing the album in national lockdown in the UK in
Okay.
2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And then we didn't start gigging until 2022. So it's been like, we got signed and dropped our first album last year, but it's been sort of a bit more behind the scenes up until then. And now from last May, pretty much we've been on the road non-stop. So
Yeah.
it's been a massive explosion in a all the work happened in a very short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, has it felt like a nonstop adrenaline rush since you put out, the record last year? Because it just, from everything I've gathered, it just exploded, and now here you are with this new album launching like, these billboard campaigns and everything else. It's like, just
Yeah. We ain't stopped. Yeah, we haven't stopped since we started. Really, just trying to solidify ourselves like in this business, so that we haven't got to go back to our own jobs. We can do as much as work as we can now, and then
Mm.
make our name so that we can settle into it a bit more. But
Yeah.
yeah, since we started, we haven't stopped.
I don't even know if it's like an constant adrenaline rush anymore. I think we've sort of like plateaued of adrenaline now. I go home and I get crazy, like excited about doing the laundry or something. It's a bit of a flip reversal, to be honest. But it's been amazing. It's been an amazing 2 years of just non-stop work, really.
It's great.
so you just sort of like have accepted the lifestyle of like, riding around in limos and drinking champagne and oh,
That's it. We the second we had to give up our normal working class jobs, I think we sort of gave up on the working class dream. Really, we're champagne socialists now. I know lager socialists nowadays.
If you have you change it. We go for a band, champagne from that.
That's us to the table.
Well, I do have to ask you before we get into the heart of the matter here. You are from Birmingham. Did you attend Ozzy's funeral celebration or any of that stuff, or were you a fan?
Who's? Fine. Isn't that geezer from LA?
Yeah, he's in that reality show.
Yeah, I think he had a show or two.
He's from LA.
I'm jesting. Like, we love Black Sabbath and that, but I think there's a very strange cultural shift in Birmingham happening over the last decade,
Oh yeah.
and particularly since the Prince of Darkness himself decided to shuffle off his mortal coil. Because I don't know if you've ever been Birmingham, but up until recently, nobody gave a shit about Ozzy in Birmingham. It's not like Liverpool. Not in the same. Like, if you walk around Liverpool, you can't move for Beatles stuff. You walk around Manchester, you can't move for Oasis stuff.
Right.
Birmingham was never really the same up until we started to think of it as a sub. I think the council see it as something they can capitalise on, but the people of Birmingham don't really love their own heroes. They don't really. It's not in our nature as a people in the Midlands to sort of have much pride or self pride or civic pride. We're not very built like that.
At least generally, it's just said really that, like,
Yeah.
Defo seems to be a great thing to capitalise on. So it's in the same week that Birmingham was praising up the memory of Ozzy and talking about the music of Birmingham and stuff. In that same week, they banned street performance in the city.
The only city in the UK now which is a full ban on street performances.
And that's around the same couple of weeks that Ozzy died. So it's just like, it's all bullshit.
They don't really see the irony. No.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's funny you bring it up, and it's like talking on like the creeping authoritarianism.
Yeah.
And I know we're saying about how our country in the UK is sort of viewed idyllically, like it's not quite there yet with the authoritarianism. It's we're still fighting back, and obviously there's a huge liberal scene and cause in the UK, but it's things like that we can see us circling the drain with it. Like, it's not just about stopping music; it's about stopping freedom of speech. It's about stopping people freedom of expression, and that's across. Birmingham's the first city to do it. Watch the rest of the country start doing it now. Watch everybody. It's an easy way to crack down on free speech.
We can't, like Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier than to say, oh no, look, we do celebrate our culture. Look, we've got all these Ozzy Osbourne posters up about that band that did that album 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So it's
forward, especially with the arts and
yeah.
So
cutting out a little bit there. But it's always been a working class kind of manufacturing industrial city, right? Is it
Out of the Industrial Revolution? It's where it all kicked off in the Midlands,
Yeah.
and a lot of the industry's gone, and there's still a ton massive as well. All the car manufacturing is in the UK. It's still very much sort of, and it's still an industrial town, but I mean, it's not really much industry in the UK in general anymore in terms of like manufacturing, which is what we were really like. That was the bread and butter of the Midlands.
right?
It's sort of why our first album was post-industrial hometown blues, because obviously it was a play on it, but it was also, it's what just the sort of setting that we see happening in the Midlands. Leeds is another industrial town having this same thing. Philadelphia is another industrial town having the same thing. All these cities where at one point you are the absolute icon of this country. You are the thing that's running the scenes. You're where the entire beating heart of the country is. The second that industry is found to be cheaper elsewhere, it's everyone can recognise that in their own places.
Right. And so would you say that, like, because of the decimation of the industry and largely due to technology and globalization, that that sort of decimates the local working class population, which then allows authoritarianism to kind of come in and harness that populist anger? That's sort of what happens, the dynamic.
I think it just feels desperation. It's the it's the whole, like, you know, you work well, but you work well, but you can't really get oil, get what you want. So it's you know, keeping the people desperate is what is easy for stroll in, isn't it? Because actually people who want answers for stuff they don't know the answers to. And then authoritarians come and say, blame this, blame that, or do this, or do that. And then everyone goes, oh, okay, I won't think about it then. You've said that. I'll listen to that.
Yeah.
My mate listened to that. My dad listened to that. So I'll just follow that because I'm upset, I'm angry, and I've got nothing and I'm working. And so people like, they're malleable. They're not, you know, and that's the history of the world. It's the history of some of the sorts of politics is to keep people down, and you can use them. And,
I think you're bang on with and Birmingham in particular is a different. I think it's got quite a lot of factors against it for like the regime because it's the Midlands. It's bang in the centre. Even since we were kids, pre all this like real far right rise in the UK, you know, the recent far right rise in the UK.
Yeah.
It's always been a place because it's bang in the centre geographically. It's been a place where all of the far right rallies from the south and the north they all collate in our town.
Oh.
So I remember being 17 at college, and the city centre would be shut down with a group that used to be called the EDL, which is the English Defence League, which was just a bunch of Nazi scumbags. And they'd be all from out of town. They'd all meet in the middle there. And it's also because Birmingham's one of the highest multinational cities in the UK. Its entire basis, it's built on immigration. And they use that, again, quite a poverty-stricken town.
Yeah.
They use that as a, look, all these fine British patriots meeting here, surrounded by non-British faces. You know, it's all dog whistle politics for them. It's a perfect example, perfect location and example in their minds of everything that's wrong with the UK.
Right.
But you know,
Right.
it's pretty bleak really, and it makes it more difficult to have hometown pride sometimes. But I'd say as a whole, the Midlands there is a core value there because it's such an integrated city. I think there is a core value of fuck you. That's not our lived experience. We live around every culture from the planet. You can fuck off, but it just outwardly gets this this tagline of being a shithole.
and I think to have that point of view, it's like you also need time and space there. Like lives and stuff like that, and most people don't. So they just follow the rhetoric of like what they're hearing day to day, which is like blame your neighbour because they're a different colour, you know,
Right.
blame your neighbour. And they forget that they share fences with these people, you know what I mean? They're working in the same places as the problem.
Sure.
Why are they your enemy?
Yeah.
It's just all ridiculous really. But then everyone just each other fighting. Share with each other, so no one makes friends. You know, everyone just and it's all to appease. You know, the people who actually don't give a fuck and they're just a cog in the machine.
Yeah. You're cutting out. You're cutting out a little bit. You're cutting out a little bit there.
Sorry, babe.
Just so you know. but I think I get what you're saying. You know, sort of a demagoguing. You know, just like a large, basically wealthy upper class, just finding ways to divide people and hit them
they're not even part of these communities. They don't even visit these communities. You know, it's just what's the word, like a commodity. You know, maybe.
Your dad was the best example of this. Joel's dad was on the wall. We're from Birmingham, but it's split into lots of different areas and lots of different towns. And there's a working class town called Walsall, just on the north side of Birmingham.
Well, basically a ghost town. The industry back.
Yeah. But your dad was a councillor there, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, he worked in social services. He worked. I think he started up in the hospital and then stuff. And he was. I remember telling him he was at a meeting one day about the services in there, and he asked the board, like, you know, when they were in the meeting, he said, "Can I just ask who lives in this town?" And no, there wasn't a single person who lived in the town except for two people who put their hands up and said, I have a second home here for work.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah. There's no emotional investment in the people who thrive in the office. Like more conviction, because the people are telling people more conviction. They want to be
Hilarious.
make comments that's supposed to be something in these jobs, which is what we really need. And what it should be, these things rather than there would be. There's no sense of convince people it doesn't. It's actually the same because they're waiting.
Yeah.
Basically a lot of fashionable the old days, but without the
Yeah, you're I can't hear you too well there. Again. But
so if there's any bits you can't get, if you can send me a message, I'll
but I think what I'm what I'm hearing is that the people who are sort of running the city are not from the city, and
A lot of the time, yeah.
I think that's pretty
Common in the UK.
yeah. Around West Africa.
Yeah, I think that's something that is not discussed at all here, which is that as things are going south very fast, we have an inherent sort of trust and faith in our billionaires because they're so smart, their technology. But I don't think people realize that if they decimate the country as is sort of the path we're heading on, who's to say they won't just leave and move elsewhere? I mean, these are not patriots, you know.
No.
But you know, I wanted to ask you, going back to the point you were making about immigration. I was really, I tend to get most of my news from the Guardian because I just don't trust a lot of the American media anymore. And I was horrified to see that it seems like the UK is now creating a force similar to what we have here called ICE, which is like the immigration, sort of like a Gestapo almost. Is that true? Is that really
it's been going on for a lot longer than people realise. It's just changing of names and I think broader awareness of it. Especially in Birmingham and in big immigrant areas, it's not that uncommon to see like immigration officers rocking up to places and checking out people's visas. But I think, like I say, we're only ever a couple of years behind the American playbook, and the militarization aspects that you guys have got. Obviously, it's something that the UK doesn't replicate exactly because we don't have the same gun issues.
Reform that we spoke about today.
Yeah,
saying that they need to make the police force directly commanded by the elected politicians.
Yeah, there's like a general consensus in there with the authoritarian side of like, blame it all on the immigrant from afar, weaponize the police force, weaponize everything at our disposal. And it helps control it. I don't think we've seen it as severe as America yet, but at the same time, I see heartwarming videos. There was a video from Glasgow, which is up in Scotland, and a proper working class industrial town, and an immigrant removals van basically like surrounded by protesters, not letting them move until they let people out and stuff. We don't want that. We don't want to send people back. Fuck yourselves, do you know what I mean? But they seem to think that I think it appeases the vision of that, the vision of boots on the ground, grabbing these invading forces that they try to describe them as. I think the far right and right wing leaning voters, even simple centrist people, they can be manipulated into thinking that's our government doing a positive thing for the community because they're removing the people that they told us are bad. So it helps them build trust in the voting ranks of the sort of people that they have to try and appease. But I try to stay an optimist, and I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it would be as successful here. We've had such Brexit. The only positive thing about Brexit, which is none, is it's actually made it harder for our country to deport people, which is sort of the anti not what they wanted. Right.
It's the irony.
Now, well, because now they're using the rubber dinghies and the boats coming over from France. People taking these up, people who are being forced to take or have no other options in life but to take a fucking 100-mile crossing of an ocean in a fucking dinghy. And now, because we're not part of we're not part of the European Union, it's so much more correlated for them to just go, no, you came from France, we're going to send you back. They tried to send people to where did
somewhere in Africa.
Yeah, they tried to do like a huge export of people to Africa, and they managed to get one plane's worth in like 4 or 5 years of conservative rule recently. They can't fucking do it.
Because the taxpayer so much money as well. It's all flag waving like fake politics. You know, it's just and it's time and it's always on the background again to another new party trying to get popular and stuff. So it's just the same old conversation about ignorance, and it's just like it's fucking boring. It's the easiest thing to do politically. That's why the trans people get it in the neck all the time, is because it's just something else that isn't necessarily instantly understandable to the masses. So I think our greatest power as people is to have hope. But I know that. So everything is made to go straight hope. It's a great fear. So,
right.
Yeah, holding on to hope is the only way. Because I think if was given the exact same, the empirical facts of everything that's happened, if everyone was just given the truth, then I believe that 99% people would be good, would lean towards the moral journalist things.
Yeah.
That's why the truth is always kept behind the doors and complications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's what they've always done. It's what they've always done. Which sounds like you think, well, not as well. I hope then, but like, I really don't know. It's like it's an addition.
Yeah.
So I just think everyone's ever such a hard. Because we're talking about being a rising, we just had 14 years of conservative government. It's been like that the whole. Probably for trying to be billionaires in the future, or people get poor, services get cut, arts get cut. There is no. You said about patriots, that these people are patriots, and they're not, because they don't care about culture. They don't care about countries. They just have a little playbook of things that keeps them on top, that keeps them there with a fear. They'll go. They talk about the collapsing industry and they're blaming the goods for taking jobs and stuff like that. But it's not that. It's the billionaires who built those factories in China instead, because it's way cheaper.
They sold off all our human labour to places where there's no lapse human rights, so they can get it for cheaper.
And then you have probably convince people like you did with Brexit that we don't need to be part of the European Court of Human Rights.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's called human rights. You know what I mean? Like, where is the it's just ridiculous.
It's because we suffer. They're trying to sell it in this country. I think you guys had the exact same. The Schrodinger's immigrant. Have you heard of this in America? It's like simultaneously they're coming over and stealing all our jobs, but they're also lazy and taking all our welfare.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, totally.
I was like, which fucking one is it then?
It's just them, isn't it? They're doing it all. They're taking it all.
They're taking our jobs while also causing all the crime. And so
yeah.
Keeping all the money.
They're pretty busy people who are also shiftless.
and buying all the social housing. Obviously, they're taking over all the social housing that hasn't been built.
so private.
It's pathetic, man. Yeah, it makes me very sad.
And they're all ill, they're all crazy because it's like they don't even need English. It's like the comedians who just went over and performed in Saudi Arabia and stuff. It's like they're already on millionaires.
Yes,
I know.
You know what I mean? So it's like I just don't understand.
Sad greed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Greed and power.
Yeah, for the people who are watching who aren't familiar with what we're talking about the Riyadh Festival, comedy festival in Saudi Arabia, which, has kind of divided the comedy community, if there is, in the United States. Suddenly all the comedians were making money hand over fist thanks to Netflix podcasts, and there was a bit of a split between those who would agree to go to Saudi Arabia to perform at this festival, which is basically orchestrated by the royal family, who have atrocious human rights abuses, killed journalists in front of the royalty, and but we tend to overlook the fact that these celebrities now multimillionaires,
and I don't, I always believe, don't respond like places with the places, you know what I mean? Working class people are always people who don't kind of be happy about doesn't, so but I think in that festival it was going over to play to perform for
the royals.
The royal
money from their pocket. Money, and it was from a media segment of their government that his whole aim is sort of to try and green and whitewash the whole. Look, everything's fine. We're all good. We're all pals nowadays. Everyone's having fun, but only within this framework.
That's right. That's right. Have you guys been offered proposals to do events or perform that you turned down for reasons such as this, from like more?
Not really, man. We're not that big. You know what I mean? I think when it comes to that sort of thing, it's like it's they won't names and places. You know what I mean? Because again, it's not about it's about the work that they tack onto the
That's the thing. I think we're like the opposite, just from the music alone. I don't think anyone listens to it and goes, "Yeah, guys, we want on our fucking bank advert." It's not a great mix, is it? I think we say our music's too political to sort of catch these. We've had moral debates along the way of decisions we make. There's been a lot of cultural boycotts of gigs, which we've joined in with, or we've joined in debates with. I think it isn't more than any time. It's part of the role of being an artist isn't just to make music and to play it in front of people. It's to be. It's not just to give your honest representation of the world. All that stuff that we applaud our artists for. A big part of the job now is being conscious, is being aware of your conscious and your moral compass, because it's all very, like we say, we're talking about Bill Burr talking for the last however many years about fuck the billionaires, these are the bad guys, and it's like I don't understand how an artist can do that as an artist and then go back on themselves entirely. So you have to check it. When I was a van driver, I didn't have to have moral quandary every day that I made a decision because I didn't have a platform. Now people look up to you and people react to what you do based on your political decisions and make their own political decisions based off that. And you're an absolute tool if you don't think that the small decisions and the small things don't make a bigger impact.
I mean something to people who love art,
What's that?
It's the same as there's this love art, and we with those people as well, and still love those people. And I think it's important to try and act honestly, even if the big voice of the thing isn't what you believe, because there's still a power structure on the left. There's still a power structure where working class people and minorities and stuff like that are overused or misunderstood. And it's also probably smart to not just follow anything. Do you know what I mean? Try and be educated and stuff. But I also understand that to say trying to be educated is hard for most people because everyone's got a job and their mum's ill and they've got 2 kids and the dad run off and the car broke down and it's just like, you know.
What do you mean you haven't? What do you mean you haven't read fucking the Communist Manifesto? You know what I mean? You only work 70 hours.
Sorry,
mate.
I was stacking 12 hours, 6 days a week.
It's hard, isn't it?
Well,
Easy to just point the finger. And,
yeah.
There's really try not to do that, you know. Try and, like, other than, you know, I'll curse the powers that be till the end of the fucking earth, but like, I'll never curse the people because the people are manipulated. You have to employ the people, especially if you want allies and friends. And to hurt someone for their own direction. If they don't understand where that comes from, you make it enemies.
Yeah.
Because the easiest thing to understand in that moment is that person shouting at me, and I don't fucking care because I'm so you know, something like that. And it's just like, so I think the thing we always need really is perspective and things different attitude about people. And it was literally when life is so bad that we keep holding perspective and empathy, I suppose,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus in those things. And the powers and all that, that's the way that we can so that make it.
So you're talking about empathy basically here, you know, understanding what people are on the other side of going through. We only have a couple minutes left, but I do just really briefly want to just mention, like, it did seem like people had a lot of time on their hands when there was it 150,000 or 200,000 people that marched a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't believe that. That was massive.
Crazy, man. And they were given a lot more freedom to do that than people who were marching for free Palestine.
Well, yes, we have. I don't know what you've seen on our news, but currently we're having the most. It is the playbook of authoritarianism on our screens, where unbelievably peaceful protests of. You've seen the videos of like 80-year-old women sitting down outside of Parliament, just holding a sign and they're being prescribed terrorists. Meanwhile, we're seeing footage of people smashing up hotels, trying to burn hotels down, filled with children and women and immigrant men, trying to intimidate and threatening violence on the streets, attacking police officers, burning ambulances, and there hasn't been a single arrest of that. It's
they're costing their own areas, you know, there's tax money in, you know, they're making their own people more money to look after their place because of that. And they call themselves patriots and they walk around with an English flag doing exercise.
Yeah, it's quite strange,
like, you know. But again, like I said, these people just fought for it. They don't know crack. You know, no one is clued. No one is clued in.
Yeah.
And
lack of information.
I also think
we have some hope. There's the green. I was proper reading up on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
Yeah. I don't know if you know about the Green Party over here. They've been quite some fun. But there's a lot of there's a lot of interest in that party growing up because this guy's just come out and been very honest about stuff, and it seems like he hasn't got an agenda.
He's been bleeding.
When you just say the truth, it's pretty obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just say the truth. Most people go, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's been bleeding support from Farage, right?
Yeah, I'd say he's more taking the support from Labour than Farage. I think the issue we've had was we had a very far right Conservative government for 12 years who just decimated the infrastructure, sold off anything public from the country, and left it with nada. And what we really needed was a very a party to come in with mind of nationalisation, everything of ending austerity, of putting back into the pockets of people, not removing it from, and fixing the cities across the board. And instead, we've just had a Labour government who are they're just saying the same policies as the Conservatives. They're not. They're now a centre right, supposedly a centre right, but they're also apologising for a genocide. So to me, they're a new far. They're just Tories in red. You know? So, I think the danger is the Conservative vote was decimated. A lot of that moved over to Reform and Nigel Farage and all those cronies. I think the remaining of the Labour Party, they're either sticking with Labour for some reason because it's just that they, in their mind, the age-old centrist vote, or there is a little swell over towards what there's a new party called Your Party and the Green Party.
Yeah.
I just think it's one of those age-old things that everyone complains about, but I worry that we're splitting.
Yeah.
The far right is unifying much more than ever, and that we are splitting up into these little subdivisions. I'd love to think that the left would unify, or even a coalition. You know what I mean? Like a coalition of different leftist governments put together would be fantastic at this point in time, if we could all agree on the right decisions and stuff. But
I'm gonna have to cut you off. I'm gonna have to cut you off there because we're gonna get cut off.
Oh no!
But yeah, but I'll plug your stuff. National average
is just that, but we've also got a brand new